Okay, so I'm gonna do a different type of format of a content that I'm going to be doing right now. So I'm gonna be reacting to Area 51, the movie. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit differently. Wait 1 second, hold on. I'm trying to make sure this is actually recording and it's just not gonna stop recording midway. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different today. So I can't actually show like the actual film itself because it's on YouTube, and I'm not able to screen record because what I did before with Time Trap and the Graceful Incident movies, they were on Tubi, and I was able to screen record. But this is gonna be a little bit differently. So it's gonna be an audio format. So it's gonna be like more of like a podcast reaction, and I'm gonna slice this up and everything like that. So it goes with according to the YouTube guidelines on like reaction to movies. I'm gonna try my best and like pause it when I want to actually like kind of get like my perspective and my opinion on like the movie itself. So this is gonna be something a little bit differently. So I hope this goes smoothly. But let's just start. I also want to introduce like an idea that this. So I'm reshaping and not rebranding, but just reshaping how I'm going to be doing my content. There's a reason why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and like how my looks keep changing, and like I keep saying different names because that's different personalities that are coming through me. And at it in that point, it's like who that personality is. It's still me, but it's just like a different way that I'm actually like presenting myself and like who I am in that particular point in time. So basically, yeah, so hi, my name's Exwell. Hey, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing water. Hope you guys are doing good, and I hope you guys are drinking water and staying hydrated. That's what I wanted to say. But anyways, to the video. I also want to know, so if you haven't seen this movie, so this movie is Area 51. So it's basically, so this is like the movie description. So it's three young conspiracy theorists attempt to uncover the mysteries of Area 51, the government's top secret location rumored to have hosted encounters with alien beings. So I've seen this movie multiple times, but I wanted to actually like do like an audio format reaction to this movie and in that regard. So it's going to be a little bit different, like I mentioned before. Yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so that's just starting off, and it just shows like the title screen of the movie itself. So this is actually starting the movie itself. So the one thing that I want to get on, off the rip is like, okay, so how did they do these interviews for one? And then number two, like, why did they mention it so early on that they were missing? I get that's like structuring the movie in itself, but it's already like telling the audience members like what's basically going to happen within the movie itself before the movie even started. And it's just like, who are these people? Like we have no connections with these people in the first place. So like one of the characters' sister was mentioning that he was acting weird and like doing all these like UFO like sighting research and everything like that. That's like a bit of information that we got that's a little bit to the story, but the other people, we don't know who these people are. We don't have any connections. There's another guy that has like a brother that's also missing as well. But it's just like I think the movie could have done like a better way of doing this movie in the first place. But I mean, this I'm just a viewer. This is just like my opinion on like everything like that. So I also wanted to make a note of that this is a found footage movie, and I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything like that, but this is a found footage movie. So I'm like, how did they get, so the last guy, he said, I don't want to go back, but he said that like, if you were to record in Area 51, like you would be in serious trouble. My thing is, so this is a found footage movie. So how did they get the recording to make the movie in the first place? Like who did all the editing to make the movie? Maybe that's reading a little bit too deep, but like that's something I just wanted to say off the rip. So okay, anyways. Okay, so like I'm watching this again, like, and I'm just noticing this now, like what I said before, like who did the editing and like how they get the video. Who did the editing to get all this footage in the first place if this is a found footage movie? Someone tell me. Help me to understand. Like I want to know. So okay, so they're introducing the characters, so the three characters that are the main, like, I wouldn't say, not like they're not that word, not that word, but I mean like I was gonna say protagonists, but sorry, I'm thinking. So these are the main characters that are in like the main plot of the movie itself, but like we don't have any sort of connection with the characters itself. It's just starting off as a party, which is like in my case, it's a little bit of a, would it be like auditory and like auditory sensory overload or something like that, or auditory and visual sensory overload, because it's just like we're just now introduced to the characters and now they're at a party. It's a bit much. I mean, maybe I'm reading a little bit too deep to that, and they're drinking, so I don't know. Like, I don't know. Okay, so it's the end of that scene. Sorry that I was quiet, but so the one thing that I want to take note is that, like, what I said, they were drinking. So they basically were driving to find Reed. So, I mean, that's a red flag off the rip. Like, why are you drinking and driving in the first place after coming to a party? Like, that's not really smart in that regard. But I mean, like, so since this is an audio format, so Reed, he left the party, and he like wandered off into the woods, and then like he just so his friends were like actually like trying to find him, but he was like in the middle of the street. But that's a critical part in the movie on why he's doing that. Just want to make that noted. Okay, so it mentioned 3 months later. You know, it's getting to the point, but you know, it's a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't like give like the viewer a sense of like connection with the characters if you do a film like this. Okay, so since it mentioned 3 months later, so they're going to go on a weekend trip. So my question is, after 3 months, so the scene literally showed all the equipment that they're going to bring with them on their trip, because they're planning on going to Area 51. So that's the reason why the movie's called Area 51. But it's just like, okay, within that 3 months, where did they get all the equipment from? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive, having all that equipment to take with you on a trip? Like, what's the objective and what's the game plan? Like, what are you trying to get out of that? Like, I watched this movie so many times, I'm trying to figure that out myself, but it's just like, really, like, I'm just thinking about this movie much differently now, but I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just viewing this like from like another like perspective of film and how it's being directed, I guess. Okay, so now I'm thinking about this much differently. Okay, so like if this is a weekend trip, you have all that gear. Why do you? That's an excessive amount of gear to actually have on a weekend trip. If you're just hoping to like get footage of the location. But it's just like, what's the objective though? Because like with Reed, he's the main character along with the other two guys that are his friends. But it's just like, what are you trying to get out of that? And my main question is, who got the recording? Who did all the editing? I'm being serious on that, because I'm like, who did all the editing? Because I mean, like, editing and content creation takes time to edit videos, and obviously there's jump cuts. So it's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading too much. I'm just reading too much deeply into that, but I'm just wondering what that is and why that is. Okay, so now they're actually starting their trip to going to Area 51, but I'm just questioning like, what's the game plan for one? Like, that's what I just want to figure out. Like, what are you trying to get out of that? And then he's recording, but like, why is he recording? Why is he recording everything? Like, help me to understand. Okay, so the next scene, he's meeting with someone to like get like intel of like, I guess like, I don't know, of like the area itself, but it's just like he's meeting someone he doesn't know. So I don't know where they originally were at to get to, because they're in Las Vegas right now. So it's like, where did they travel from to get to Las Vegas? And now he's going to meet someone who he didn't meet or he doesn't know to further continue his trip to get information onto getting to Area 51. I just want to understand that. Like, this is why I'm coming from a different, sorry that I'm stuttering, I'm like thinking and talking at the same time. So this is why like I'm trying to figure out and put the pieces together in my head, but it's just like, I don't know, the way that this movie is being like directed is just like, I don't know, I'm just thinking of it differently. And so the character that Reed is meeting, her name is Yelena. So she's another not a main character, she's not a side character, I don't know, I don't want to say it like that, but she's like an additional character that's added to the story that's gonna be a crucial part of the story later on. So basically I did skip a little bit of like, you know, because I don't want to like add like every scene, like bit by bit, scene by scene, like adding like my perspective and like my opinion on each scene, on how it's directed and like filmed. This is a movie, of course, but it's just like the way that this is just going is a little bit kind of like, I don't know how to put it into words. But moving on from that, they're now they're staying at the little alien is like hotel motel area, so they're in like the area. So now they're gonna figure out like a game plan of like what they're gonna do, but still I'm just like I really don't know. Okay, Reed said this was like a weekend trip. How long, what was the original point of their location to get to Las Vegas and then travel to the little alien motel area? I feel like that's already a day that passed. And it's a weekend trip. That's only 2 days. I'm assuming that they're leaving that they left on Friday to get to Saturday, but that's already been a day. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like this is just not like planned accordingly, and I'm just like they were, so there, I guess like this had like a base of like where they were gonna stay at in that little motel area, and now Yelena has popped up in the motel. There was no sort of information that she was included into the trip as well, but she did give valuable information to Reed and his friends. But it's just like the way that the way that she was brought onto the screen doesn't make any sense, because we didn't have any sort of interaction between Reed and Yelena. Maybe they had introduced that when they were at their meeting in like the diner that they were at, but the audience, we don't know that information, and the way that she showed up is just random. So it's just like now she's a part of the trip, but it's just like it's a bit confusing. And sorry if I'm like being a little harsh on this. This is just my opinion and like my like perspective on the film itself, because I do like this movie. It's just like I'm just questioning like the movie logic. Okay, so now they're on their objective to getting to Area 51. So I'm still questioning. So okay, so they had to do all these measures, but like I said before, if it's a weekend trip, it's 2 days. So like what? I don't know. So it's just like now they're actively going. So they're all suited up to like actually go into that destination. But it's just like what's the game plan now that she's added to the trip as well? Why are they still recording? Who is doing the editing? It's just like maybe they're doing the editing, you know, for their own purposes and their sake, I guess, like just to like show that they did it. But it's just like, who did the editing? Like, I'm literally just like, I don't know. And then I'm gonna conclude this video just like, you know, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not going scene by scene and just like giving like my spiel on like with everything that's like going on with the movie itself. I do recommend you watching this movie because it's very like entertaining to watch, especially if you like the found footage movie type of genre in the first place, because that's the movie style that I like to watch. Kind of like, so now that I say that, so The Graceful Incident is another found footage type of movie, and then I had reacted to Time Trap, which is like, it's technically a found footage, but it's just like directed with like the camera being there, but it's just like the camera's on like the actors itself. But I mean, like there is a camera involved actually showing like footage through the camera lens, and I feel like I'm gravitating towards that type of movie style in the first place. But to sum up, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I do recommend you watching it. So like, you know, they got abducted, and, you know, the movie ends, but what I want to take note on is that, okay, so the movie ends, and literally they were still recording, like they were still recording. So they really recorded everything that they did. And at the very end, if you watch to the very end, so the camera literally is there. Like what I was saying before, who did the editing? How did they get the video? Like, what was the game plan? There was no directive. So it's just like, I don't know, like, if that was like I don't want to be too critical, but it's just like, that's just my thought process on like how like movie productions, like I question that, especially if you're making a movie like this. But like I said before, this is my favorite movie and everything like that. And I don't want to give spoilers or anything like that, but I just wanted to include like my take on this movie itself, because like I really do enjoy watching this movie, and I do like talking about like movies in general, especially when it comes to science fiction and alien like type of movies, because I think of alien life much differently. Like I think of it as like a real thing, especially if you're trying to get to Mars, or if you're trying to think of like the planets and like in the solar system within the galaxy, you know, if you're thinking about the universe in that regard, in that self. Because if you watch movies like Star Trek, Star Wars, the Guardians of the Galaxies, and I'm going to keep saying that because I've said it in other movies, in other videos as well. and it's not a science fiction topic. It's like an actual real thing if you think about it in a different perspective. Because like if you're thinking of getting to another planet, how are you going to get to another planet? And once you get to another planet, it's not going to be the same species as you once was. It's going to like mutate, be adapted to the planet, and then evolve, adapting to the planet's like environment, like, and like, you know, the terrain. Because like if like when I said before, if you're trying to get to Mars, so let's say like if a human were to go to Mars and to colonize the planet, you know, to make it livable and to like make new life as a Martian, or as what it would be called, or like whatever name that it would be called. I wouldn't say Martian. I wouldn't say like a different name for like the new species that is being like, that's being like brought on the planet itself. It's going to change. Like it won't be the same as it was on Earth. Like it's going to be changed to the planet's like atmosphere and like the environment. So it's just like, if you think of alien life differently and like the alien species, it's not just like how people think alien life is going to be like, or not be like, but like how they have a perception and like a stereotype on aliens, like of how they look and how it's always depicted. It's not going to look like that. It's going to change and actually be in a new type of like format that's being like mutated to be adapted to the planet. I feel like I'm just talking around it and just yapping, but I feel like that's like the way that I'm like seeing it. And I just feel very passionate about talking about like movies like this in the first place, because like I come from a fashion background, and with fashion, I'm thinking of it as like evolution. Like how can fashion change? I'm thinking of it in that realm, because like I have to prepare my mind to think outside of the box of like what a different type of species would look like and how fashion would evolve and change on that planet to be accustomed to the planet, is what I'm trying to get at. But I hope that made sense to you guys, because it makes sense to me. And maybe I could just, you know, it's, if you have like a different perspective, you can let me know. Like I'm all ears. Like I'm like very like open to like receiving feedback, you know, because like I want to create like a conversation and actually like build like an audience who understands and thinks like me. But yeah, that's the end of the movie, and I'm just gonna conclude that on like, you know, just, I don't know, what should I say? I want to end it on a positive note, because I was being a little bit critical and harsh on this movie. But if you can change your mindset and like change like the way that you think of the world itself and like the planet, there are so many endless possibilities that can come beyond that of what you think and your comprehension level of your playing field, is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, with that being said, Techie Cross out.